Everyone, welcome back to the Goonerverse. Arsenal draw 2-2 at Sunderland. We're live to the player ratings and a little bit of analysis on the game. Listen, there'll be more of these to come. Well, we've been doing them after every game, but they're going to come closer to the full-time whistle for future ones post-international break. We hope to bring more production. We hope to level up everything too. I need you all to do me a favor, though, in the comments. Big thanks to all of you who are here, ready to chat about all things from this game. I feel... I'll go into it properly, but I feel dejected, but also somewhat hopeful. We'll chat about that in a sec. Need you all to do me a favor, which is keep me very honest in the comments. If there's any audio issues, if there's any visual problems, any lag, let me know. We're running this on the kind of I don't know we're doing the most in terms of technical push that I've sort of ever done for these kind of live streams as well. So if there's any issues, let me know. All feedback really needed. I already know a problem. This light's not plugged in. So there we go. We've had a shock already. There we go. What a difference that makes. Camera was fuzzy to start with, but okay at the moment. And also, come on, man. We're red. We are red. What's going on? Always red. Why is that not coming up red? Boom. It's not coming up red. Doesn't want to come up red. I'm trying to get the comments where it says car, but anyway, whatever. All right, blue comments today. I guess we did play in blue. Okay, plenty to go through. Plenty to go through. I said on my match reaction, which is out on Goonerverse News, I said if I did my reaction at half time, I'd have been furious with the team. At full time, I think the only thing that hurts is kind of the manner in which we dropped the points. Otherwise, I kind of thought there was quite a lot of positives, actually, weirdly, from that second half. And I feel more encouraged than I sort of thought I was going to be at the prospect of drawing at Sunderland, which sounds crazy because of the manner in which it happened. And, I said again in my Goonerverse News match reaction, I said, look, we're City and Liverpool facing each other. It feels like a missed opportunity with the fact that we've been on this brilliant run, with the fact that we turned around a 1-0 deficit, with the fact that, it was a 94th minute equaliser. All these things make it much harder to stomach. But underneath what are some pretty hard-hitting facts and big things to stomach, there's actually plenty of positives from that second half. And that's what I want to talk about, because I genuinely thought that there was, I genuinely thought there was, positives. We're going to do some tactical stuff too. This is the JLA tactics board. As you can see, I did have the teams up. This is so typical. The minute we try to run up a bit of extra production, we're having some problems. So let's just get the teams up as you can see them here. These were the two teams. We'll be doing some tactical pad stuff using the JLA tactics board, but we'll get to that a little bit later. First thing I want to do is touch on the player ratings and just give my thoughts from the game and get all your thoughts as well. And look, there were other frustrating moments through the game, like this. Zubimendi had literally won the ball. Yeah, that's how I felt about the free kick that ultimately led to Sunderland's, opening goal. That was frustrating too. I felt there were quite a few moments through the game where I thought, I'm not really, I feel like it's just kind of going against us. And I think Arsenal could play that game sort of, 9-10 times. Another day probably feel like they win most of them. But, this was one of those where sometimes football is not also just about what you do on the ball, how many chances you have. It's also about spirit. And I felt Sunderland showed a lot of spirit, a lot of fight, asked loads of questions to David Raya, and will feel that they were absolutely deserving of the point. I think we probably did enough to win it. It was a game of a lot of chances. This idea that the Premier League's become really boring and Arsenal sort of the reason for it. Well, tonight wasn't an example of that. I actually thought that was quite an open game of football, especially in the second half, which isn't what Arsenal and Arteta would have wanted. But they have my sympathies to a degree when Gyökeres, Havertz and Jesus are all out injured, when Madueke and Martinelli are out injured, our captain Ødegaard isn't available either. When you're missing all these players, that's the area of the pitch where you're trying to hurt Sunderland the most and you need these players the most. Weirdly, though, I thought scoring 2, at the Stadium of Light would have been enough to get us a win. But our defence just looked quite shaky all day, and we'll reflect that in the player ratings. Carl also says this. Well, it's not popping up on screen. Yeah, here we go. You said in a recent episode, Loose Cannons, that we are due one of these games. Yeah, I thought there'd be a game where it became physical and it became awkward and it became a bit of a struggle, and we'd have to just sort of find a way through, or we were possibly going to draw points because it was one of those where we just wouldn't have the answers. Today's proven that, but I think what's a shame is that actually I thought we played quite well in that second half, enough to probably win it. Uh, Adrian says, honestly, if you think we were quite much crap, go and follow another sport. This isn't for you. Adrian, I don't echo those words. Basically, if you think we were crap, then go watch someone else. But I definitely agree with the sentiment that there were plenty of positives, and I can't sit here and sort of slate the team in any way. I actually saw plenty of encouragement, really, especially in that second half. PJ says, facts are, James, we haven't won a lot of games against the current top 10. We'll look at the table in a bit. I didn't really realize that, but okay. Oh my days, people are overreacting so terribly. We were crap. Our first half was not great, but we dominated the second half. Like saying you had a bad day because one thing in your day was bad. All right, should we go into some of the other stuff? So let's talk match stats. Arsenal with 16 shots to Sunderland's 8. But I think it's this, right? Allowing 4 shots on target. Arsenal, that's not even that many. But we're kind of used to allowing like 4 shots a game with 1 or 2 on target. We had a lot more of the ball, as you'd expect. 6 shots out of our 16 on target. Pass accuracy of 91% to 86%. Some of the stats there. We can see that it leaves Arsenal. I mean, look, 7 points ahead of City. And I think this is the important thing to remember, that if City lose, we remain 7 points ahead of them. We'll gain a point on them. But Liverpool, if City lose, that means Liverpool have won. They'll claw the gap to 21 points, meaning we're 5 ahead of them. If they draw, we remain 6 ahead of City and 7 ahead of Liverpool. If City win, then they're closing that gap to 4 points, but would have opened a real gap on Liverpool being 8 points, in which case it feels like it becomes more of a 2-horse race. So I'm by no means feeling like the title race was lost in any way, shape, or form with this result. I feel more that it was just a missed opportunity to definitely gain ground on one of them, but possibly both. And I can say this because we didn't win. I think if we'd won this game and Sunderland and City drew, so Sunderland, City and Liverpool drew, I would have said we had one hand on the title. Honestly. Because I remember how I felt when Arsenal lost at Newcastle last year and Liverpool opened a gap on us. I thought that gap's getting too big too early. It's not proven that way. But there's going to be ups and downs in any season. In any title race, there's going to be ups and downs. And Liverpool, even last year, they kind of cruised it. They had loads of ups and downs. And we have to accept that they're a good side, Sunderland. They don't concede a lot of goals. They're resilient. They're very well coached. They've got some good players in there. Yes, I'm disappointed we didn't win. Yes, we should have won, especially from the position we were in. But I'm not crashing out about that in any way, shape, or form. We had a bad day and we've come away with a point at a tricky away ground. Sometimes you just need to put a point on the board. So let's do the player ratings. We're doing it different here. As you can see, I haven't even gone and updated it from the halftime score. So let me go and do that right now. It was 2-2. Not that you guys need to see it because you've got that in the top left screen, but we'll put it on the graphic here. We're using lineupbuilder.co.uk to do this. Here we go. All right. So we're going to do slightly differently. Hopefully it looks a little bit better on your screens, but obviously, like I said, we'll talk about some tactical stuff as well through this game as we go through all the players. I just think there's some detail to go into in terms of certain performances, what Arsenal did in the second half to improve things. Normally, I'll bring a little bit more in-depth analysis to these, but I don't think you don't want to be bombarded with numbers and XG and underlying data and everything. Not after a result like that. Let's just talk about the player performances and some sort of surface level tactics and stuff. But I want all your help doing that. Okay, so let's start with David Raya in goal. We'll start with the goalkeeper and work our way back. What would you give him? What's his rating? Now, as we always do, put your ratings in the comments and we'll pull them all up here. Already, I mean, this tells you the range, doesn't it? T with a 7, Frank with a 3. As we're going through these, an 8 and a 6, as we're going through these, I think the thing I want to say about David Raya here is I felt he basically, if it weren't for him, we concede sooner and we probably concede a couple more. But his kicking wasn't great. And I think he was really poor on their equaliser. He came out to kind of catch. He came out like this rather than just getting ahead and punching it. I appreciate that he's probably taught, don't come and punch it because you're probably just punching it to a Sunderland player to put it in the back of the net. But that late in the game, just get to it. And also in hindsight, it's easier. On replay, it's easier to say. I would say, wow. I mean, the range is huge. At fault for the second goal. Some highs and a 7, 6, 7. I mean, wow. This is huge. This is the biggest range I've ever seen for a player's player rating. Shit for the goal. Good saves, but cost us. I want to give him a 5. I'm basically going to sit in between what all of you have said and give him a 5. And you can see the rating right there. It is quite small. Apologies, people. But you can see the rating there. The reason I've settled on a 5 for Raya is I do think he was at fault for the goal. I also think he made some massive saves. The more I think about some of the chances Sunderland have, I mean, a draw was probably fair. Our defence was really not. We just didn't have that compact shape we normally have. I think a 5 is fair. I think there were 8 or 9 moments for him, and then there were 2 and 3 moments from him. All right, I'll go with the 5. While you're all doing, in fact, give me all your ratings for Timber in the comments. Give me that. I'm just going to quickly adjust something in the back end, if you don't mind, while we are live. Hope this is all. Is the internet all coming through okay, people? Like I said, we're testing something new. We're back on the full setup here. We're looking to do longer streams. We're looking to get into detail a lot more with these kind of games, with these live streams. And I wanted to sort of do this from the proper set. But if there's any audio or visual problems, let me know. Timber, okay. 6, 7, 6, 7, 6, 6, 6, 6, 7. Okay. 7 to 8. Very good with the ball. Very good defensively. I'm going to say that for me, I'm going to give him a 7. And it's only because I'm a little bit too dejected about the performance of the team and not the performance of the team, the first half and the overall result. I'm a little bit too dejected by all that to kind of really give anyone an 8 or a 9. So I'll sit on a 7. One of our better players. I agree with this, PJ. He is being overplayed. I did think while he was playing well, is there just not a world in which we can bring in, Ben White chasing a goal? I don't know. Did Timber have to stay on the pitch? He's played so much football. Did you say it? I'm too lenient on the players or the performance? Let me know. Okay, Saliba. What are you all giving William Saliba? I thought he got bullied quite a bit today, Yeah, I've got to be honest. I thought he got bullied quite a bit. But I also thought there was some good defending. And I thought he stood up to the task. And I thought he cleared it. I thought he won a lot of aerial duels. I wasn't blown away. See, I don't agree with this, and I was kind of expecting some of this. Like Saliba was so poor. I don't think he was poor. The general numbers are sort of 6, 6, 6, but there's a 4 in there. 5 to 6, 7, 5, 5. Was good in possession, but 6, 6 for me, 6. Yeah, should have scored. Actually, 5 was also to blame for the was he? I need to watch that back. I'm gonna settle on a 5. I agree with that. He was fine. Should have scored. Bullied a few times. Also won a lot of aerial duels. I think overall my feeling was that he was okay. Had some good moments, had some poor moments. What will you all give Gabriel? That's going to be really interesting. What are your what will you give Gabriel, who goes for a header against Bobby? And watching it back, I said on my match reaction that I thought, Gabby was a bit strange, sort of going with his head, but actually I think it was quite brave, and I can see what he was trying to do. By getting his body there, he kind of forced Bobby to take it early. And if Raya's on his line or stands a bit bigger, if that's just not going in the back of the net. I want to give him a 5 as well. I thought he was okay. And I think the blame is more on Raya for that. Yeah, for that equalizer at the end, though Gabriel's obviously involved. And sometimes you've got to ask yourself, why was the team not more organised in general? Who did that fall on? The goalkeeper, the captain on the day, our lead centre-backs, and that is Gabriel. So, yeah. What about Calafiori? If you watch the goal back, the ball actually flicked off Gabby's head. Oh, that's unfortunate. Stinker, 4. 3, 5, 6, 5. Very poor, kept giving away fouls. I'm surprised he stayed on the entire game. I have to say, I agree. I thought this was Calafiori's worst performance of the season, and probably should have won it for us at the end. I want to give Calafiori. I don't think he was a 3. I'll give him a 4. He was worse than fine. He wasn't fine. He was below that, but I don't think he was like appalling. And I think 5 is fine. 4 is pretty bad. 3 is you were bad. 2 was very bad. 1 is shambolic. 0 is like literally unmarkable. So I feel all right about that. Sorry about all the ads that are popping up using lineup builder. Very frustrating, but I guess they've got to get their ads in. Too casual in possession. I just thought he was too casual defensively. I just thought he got bullied quite a bit. Okay, I've got a super chat, which we'll get to in a sec. In fact, we're going to talk about Zubimendi in a second. So thank you for your super chats. Okay, let's go to the midfield. Let's start with Zubimendi. Zubimendi, first half, I'd have said like a 5. I mean, it was never a yellow card. In fact, I think we've got a super chat on that. Explain this, says ETAFC. Zubi's yellow and a foul today, getting the ball first versus foul/pen that was taken away on Saka versus Fulham. Yeah, I mean, VAR can't look at those ones, the Zubimendi one. But I thought Zubi actually had a good game. I thought when you're talking about our most standout players in terms of moments were Trossard, Saka, Rice, and Raya. But Saka frustrated me. Rice made an error on the first goal, and Raya made an error on the second goal. So I just think if you're talking about all the players who were consistently good throughout and never really had any poor moments to talk about, I'm looking at Trossard and Zubimendi. I felt they were the players that really dragged us through and got us sort of playing our best football again. There's lots of 6, 7, 7 to 8, 6, 7, 7. Wasn't bad, kept things ticking. Yeah, I'm gonna give him a 7. Almost scored, but hit the crossbar. On a yellow as well. I had that performance. Yeah, very true. Yeah, I think he was good. I'm gonna give him a 7. He was good, Zubimendi. Happy with that performance from him. Declan Rice. You take away that first goal, and Declan Rice was an 8. But it happened. And it's a crucial moment. So I'm inclined to give him a. Yeah, people are saying 6. I think 6 too. I don't like. Ultimately, it wasn't a free kick. He loses in the air to Dan Ballard. That can happen. And he spun off him. Like, I can sympathise. I'll give him a 6. poor on the goal, but he was pretty good. Like ultimately he redeemed himself, didn't he, by winning the ball back, rolling it to Marino, gives it to Saka, and we get the equaliser. So, for that, I'm sort of inclined to say, we'll forget what happened with that moment. He ran so much as well. I mean, the work ethic was unbelievable, but I can't really give him more than a 6 when I do think he's at fault for that first goal. And to be fair, a lot of you agree. 6, 5, 6, 6. First half 4, second half 8. 8-2, generous around the midfield 8, 7, 6. Standard Rice 7. Rice, man, he was good with that first. Yeah, agreed. Okay. All right, cool. So this is interesting. The wingers scored, Saka and Trossard. But I felt they had very, very different games. I said in my Goonerverse News match reaction that Saka, this kind of typifies Bukayo Saka in my opinion. He's become a player who I think for 90 minutes can look so dangerous and have a fullback on toast, yet he might not get GA for it. But then he has games where, like tonight, I thought he was quite frustrating. I thought there were quite a few moments that I was actually a bit disappointed. Come on, Bukayo, you're better than that. But he gets the goal with a brilliant finish with his right foot. And he whips an amazing ball to the back post to Calafiori. And you're sat there going, I mean, he had a moment and nearly the moment, didn't he? So I'm going to give Saka a 6. I know he scored, and that maybe warrants more, but I felt his overall game was quite disappointing. What are you all saying? Game double marked practically the entire game. Yeah, we'll talk about that on the JLA tactics board in a little bit. 6, 6. He was poor. 7, 7, 5. Yeah, Saka is missing Odegaard and Ben White. I agree. He definitely is. Although Xavier says Saka was great. CNS Alex says Saka was poor apart from that goal. We've got another super chat. Let's go through that as well. Support from Los Angeles. Thank you, man. Love LA. Always love it when I go to LA. Thanks for keeping me company with your content in the hours of traffic in LA and to and from work every day. Okay, well, listen, thank you for tuning in. I really, really appreciate it. Genuinely, like all of you watching, there's no point in me doing this if you guys aren't there to sort of be a part of the conversation and help me build all this. So thank you so much. Hit the like button if you're enjoying this stream and do subscribe to the Goonverse if you haven't yet. Let's get into some positives with Leandro Trossard. I'm going to give Trossard an 8. I think he was the best player on the pitch for Arsenal, especially in that second half. What would you all give Trossard? It's a thunderous strike. He kept finding Timber, Zubimendi, Calafiori, Rice, all in the pockets. I thought he did some great work. But you know what? It's not a 9 or more because actually his first half was pretty non-existent. I didn't really see anything from him in the first half, but that was kind of true of the whole team. This is therapy for me, honestly. No worries. Thank you for tuning in. Hit that like button for our boy. Trossard 7, 8.5. Oh, okay. There we go. 8, 8. Jam says 7 Trossard. Credit for the goal and many chance. However, his inability to dribble and beat defenders will hold the team back. He can dribble. He just doesn't get around defenders. He's not quite got this pace and explosiveness, but he makes things happen. He's quite productive from that side of the pitch. And plenty of 8s coming in. I'm glad you all agree. 8.5 even. Okay. What will you all give Eze? This gets interesting. And Marino. But let's start with Eze. Okay. 4 from Frank. 3, 4. This is for Eze. 4, 4. 3, 3. 6, 5. Yeah, let's talk Eze. Okay. Eberechi Eze. God, my neck's in pain. I went to the osteopath today. And no osteopath can fix the stress of watching Arsenal. Eze, I think fundamentally, and I don't want to make any excuses because, he's a very good player. He's got the technical quality to thrive in whatever area of the pitch we put him in. But I don't think he's a constant threat in those 10 spaces. I think in those 10 spaces, there's too much. Jess on Loose Cannon summed it up so well. It's a high touch position, and Eze's a low touch player. Whether you rate Erdegaard or not, I don't think anyone can deny he gets a lot of the ball when he's playing, and that's the area of the pitch he'd be playing in Eze's position. But with Eze, you sort of want him to have the ball less, but do more with it when he gets it. He's not a knit the game and the midfield together type of player. So I do think, and listen, he's not going to be our starting left winger while Trossard's in this form. But I do think that he is basically somewhat wasted in that 10 and actually is just fundamentally a better player out on the left, being able to cut inside and make things happen in that sort of left pocket. I think he'll combine well with Calafiori, but it's Trossard who's doing it right now. I'm going to settle on a 5. A lot of 3s and 4s. I don't think he was that bad. I don't think he was bad. Yeah, I mean, 3, 4, 3, 3, 5. So poor, he's worrying you, passenger. 5, 5, 4. Yeah, I'm quite comfortable with a 5. I don't think he was, because there's 3s. I mean, it's not a 3. 3 is too low. 3 is like you were bad. I don't think he was bad. I think he was a little ineffective. Tried to make things happen, showed the odd drive, showed the odd flash of quality, but it just didn't really happen for him. Yeah, I'm all right. Although, what have I given everyone else? Okay, Gabriel and Saliba 5s, and Raya. Sort of think. Yeah, yeah. All right. I think Eze was probably a 4. Yeah, all right. I'll settle on a 4. I'm all right with that. Now we've seen more of these, and let's just get on with it and just tell you that I'm giving Marino a 4 as well. Oh, it went down as a 3. Maybe no, 4, 4. Well, do you all think maybe Saliba and Gabriel need to come down 1? I think because it sounds weird that sort of we're saying, well, Raya, Saliba, and Gabriel were fine. Well, they conceded 2 goals. But I don't really think that was their fault. Again, could Gabriel do better on the second goal? I think that's more Raya. Rice on the first for sure. And do you know what? They got pulled apart a little bit. Okay. All right. I'm going to keep Raya at a 5 because this is really tricky, 4 for both. Do you know what? I'm going to be generous. I'll just stick with the 5s. I think Calafiori and Eze Marino were the players that disappointed me the most. At least you can say for Saliba and Gabriel that to get really stick in and do some hard work, defensively and had some moments in the duels and whatever. But I don't know. You know what? It's neither here nor there. 4, 5, whatever. Can I say, Aditya, his fouls being offside or foul? Sorry, Raya says being fouls or offside doesn't really matter. Like he still did them. I get what you mean. Like ultimately, it wouldn't have mattered, but it was still part of what he pulled out in his performance. You notice I've put us here as a 4-4-2. I really felt we were a 4-4-2. I might revise these player ratings. Let's do some analysis, and I'll sort of try to clear my head a little bit. So I want to show you all this. Here we've got the 11s. Shout out to James Lawrence Alcott on the JLA Tactics board. And this was the shape Sunderland were in. But crucially, they were actually doing a really good job of getting these two really deep. And then they almost had Lefay and Traore like that. So they sort of had this area of the pitch that Arsenal just couldn't access. Yeah, Arsenal just couldn't do it. So in that area of the pitch then, if we just move Arsenal up a little bit more, boom. It's a great tool, this, may I say. Shout out to JLA. They've done a brilliant job building this. I felt that what basically happened was Saka and Trossard were quite isolated. But Rice and Zubimendi, I don't think, wanted to leave this area of the pitch because of all these Sunderland players we've talked about. Eze was trying to drift here and support, but Timber never really wanted to go beyond here, and Calafiori was getting quite high too. So we looked something like this, I think it's fair to say. Like a 2-3-5. But I just felt that Timber in the first half wasn't really supporting or overlapping or wasn't having any joy from it, making Lefay's job a little bit easier. Eze wasn't getting into these pockets, but even worse, I really felt him and Marino were front too. So at times, it was Marino out there with Eze here. And I just thought it was easy for Ballard, Gertruda, Mukiele. I just thought they had an easy job in that first half trying to deal with us. Second half, where I think things changed a little bit, was Marino, I think, was a bit more of a focal point. Eze was more in this pocket here, and Timber was really high in this space. And you sort of had Arsenal playing something like this, almost like a 2-2-5-1 or something. And Zubimendi started to get on the ball a lot more, but he started to float as well. He started to get into all these areas. There are a few moments as well where, because of the players Arsenal had in this space, all these players were being dragged. You had Marino being occupied by Ballard. You had Eze popping on a bit. Can't speak. Eze popping up in spaces. But Calafiori, so often, when that ball went over to Trossard, so often it felt to me like Calafiori had sort of glided into this space and just needed to make that underlap. But Trossard just couldn't quite find him. And I just kept thinking, you're onside. There was one moment where Saka made the run over to this space. And again, it was a similar thing. He's sort of floating there, just waiting to make that run from a Trossard pass, but never quite happened. Also in the second half, I felt we saw a lot more of this, which was actually Saka getting to that space and Zubimendi getting over to play with them. And then Arsenal sort of would readdress the balance in some way like this. I felt there was just a bit more tactical flexibility from Arsenal. But I would also say that some of this is probably a little bit of a self-fulfilling prophecy. And what I mean by that is, like, if you look for it, you might find it. Or actually, Arsenal always going to step up in the second half and have more rotations in their play. So I suppose this isn't anything tactically that, surprising from Arteta. But also Sunderland had something to protect, so they're always going to get deeper. What was interesting was that they were still struggling, though, to sort of double up on Trossard and Timber or Saka in that second half, where in the first half they're having lots of joy from it. And I think a lot of that is because Timber got further forward and we basically just trusted Rice and Zubimendi to do the job in build-up. And then Arsenal's shape was looking something like this. And we eventually, we created chances. I think we were good enough for a third or a fourth goal from that second half alone. But it was just, we were never quite good enough defensively. And actually, if we just reset the whole board for a second here and we clear the tactics, I felt there were too many moments where if we move Arsenal up the pitch like this, cool. I felt there were too many moments where the press was disjointed. And what happens is we struggle against teams that play wing backs. We saw it against against Palace. And we sort of tend to just see it generally. I think Arsenal struggled to deal with players, who sort of come into the picture quite late. Siddiqui and Xhaka very involved. They're good games. Well, I thought Rice was still the best midfielder on the pitch for a lot of that game. I think we were really struggling knowing how to press. So at times we were man for man and they were able to pick out passes. Do you remember there was a point of the game where I think Rice maybe went to Xhaka? I can't remember. Gabriel Calafiori is worried about the wing back. So Gabriel's come across and it wasn't Isidore. I think he'd been substituted by this point, but a ball was played over the top. Do you remember that when Ryan made a good save in the second half? And then you've kind of got Saliba coming across, scrambling to try deal with it. And there were quite a few little battles like that. We're trying to go man for man. There we go. But it just led to so many spaces being opened up. And that's where I felt, like I said, I just never felt that Arsenal quite were settled. I just felt like too often they were able to create battles in these areas, a little bit too one-on-one for how advanced they are, in our side of the pitch. Does that make sense? So, because I'm kind of sort of replaying the moments in my head as I'm going through this. But I think essentially to say that I just felt we were very open, uncharacteristically so. We're normally very good at, I don't know, if a ball is played into an Isidore, we're normally quite good at covering and there being a Zubimendi coming round or a Declan Rice sitting in that position because Gabriel's come over and he's able to get back and attack. And I just felt that Arsenal were quite disappointing on that front, actually. Yeah, I felt like we didn't look like we were all covering for each other. So there were bigger spacing than I'd have liked. And we just didn't look particularly resilient. Not sure there's too much more to say. Arteta, if we're to give him a rating, let's just bring the ratings back up and remind ourselves. I'm okay with those. I think, look, the defense have been brilliant, and I was looking to Eze, Marino, and players like that to make more happen, and they didn't make anything happen. Saka gets the goal. Trossard gets a brilliant goal too. The midfield ran their hearts out. The defense tried, but they were a little bit all over the place. Structurally, I think we were poor. Arteta, for me, gets a 5. It was fine from him, but he couldn't have done much more. Some people might say he should have made changes sooner, but for who? You bring on one area, what's that going to do? At one point I was thinking get Norgard on for Zubimendi just for the set pieces element. But, Zubimendi was one of our better players. I think you could say, I think at 1-1, he should have brought on Lewis Skelly for Calafiori. I think that was a missed opportunity. And at 2-1, he definitely should have brought on Nkapie for Calafiori because our defense just looked a bit shaky throughout as a collective and as individuals. CNS gives Arteta a 4, says he should have been better with substitutions, should trust the youngsters. Waneri would press better than Marino. I disagree with that, respectfully. Zubi cannot defend a lead. He was nowhere to be seen. Come on, Zubimendi was one of our best players in the second half. But I think we end on this. Pasha says, the team earned some credit in the bank after the last 10 games. It's now about how we bounce back. Come on, you Gunners. I agree. They just had a bad day. It happens. I can sympathise with Arteta too. Lots of injuries, lots of players unavailable. And, at the highest level, I'm not saying you need every player fit. Teams are going to have injuries. But don't have any of your 3 starting strikers. Could you guys see where Gyökeres was a big miss today? I know on these streams I've given Gyökeres a lot more praise than others would have liked. But can you all see the impact I believe he's having on the team? Someone who stretches defences. In that first half, we had no outlet against Sunderland. And also, they were physical. They were getting stuck into us. And I think we needed someone like Gyökeres just to kind of, bully them back. Marino might be 6'2" and good in the air, but don't mistake that for being a bully of a centre forward. He's not. He's actually somewhat quite frustrating in terms of the lack of using his frame to bully defenders and bring players into play and linking everything up. I actually think for the attributes he's got, he could maybe do a little bit more of that. Weirdly, it's the finishing that's so brilliant. And you're thinking, well, how is it so good? For a midfielder. With Gyökeres missing, I felt we just didn't have that outlet. We didn't have that focal point. And, against Newcastle, he was in the wars. I think you need players who are going to be in the wars. And he just wasn't. Marino, really. And we missed Gyökeres. Okay, we're going to talk about the league table as well in some detail. Let me just see if I missed any super chats. Nelly says, Sunderland no mugs, teams will drop points there. Yeah, I agree with that. And look, since we drew to Man City, we've beaten Newcastle. So Newcastle, West Ham, Fulham, Palace, Burnley. And now Sunderland. If someone told me it was going to be 5 wins and a draw from those 6. I'd have been pretty happy with that. If someone told me that we'd be this far ahead of City and Liverpool the first time we dropped points since we last drew with City, I'd have taken that. City haven't gained points on us once all season. That's crucial to remember, actually, because the day we lost at Liverpool, City lost at Brighton. And the day we drew City, obviously we drew them too. Those were our only dropped points before today in the league. So it's 9-2-1, our record in 12 it's right there. So it's 8-2-1. Sorry, 8-2-1 in 11 games. This weekend's the first chance City have at gaining points on us, actually having a weekend in which the points go in their favour. If Liverpool get something at the Etihad, it will go on another weekend where they haven't done that. And we're not dropping points in many weekends. We hope for a draw because then Liverpool stay where they are. If we come out of this weekend, a tough test with the injuries we've had, 6 points ahead of City and 7 ahead of Liverpool, I'll actually be very happy with that. I'll actually say fair play. We'll take it on to we'll kick the battle down the road. It was a tough weekend. If one of them wins, that's disappointing, but it's still a healthy enough lead. And if one of them wins, it means we've actually gained a point on one of our other rivals. So you can look at it in that way too. I'm not feeling too disheartened by any means. Okay. Apparently it's 1-0 Chelsea. Okay, cool. Good for them. So if it's 1-0 Chelsea, then let's refresh this. Where does that put them in the table? Well, we can figure it out. So it says 0-0. So you add 2 points, they'd be on 20 points. Yes, they'd be 6 points behind us. Yeah, keep an eye on Chelsea too. Okay, people. We've got. Well, let's look at the table in a little bit more detail very quickly. 7 ahead of City, as we mentioned the game. There's Liverpool there. We are 7 ahead of Sunderland. We are 8 ahead of Tottenham. We're 8 ahead of Chelsea, but that would be 6 if they win today. Yeah, okay, Bournemouth. Yeah, I mean, look how tight it is. Any one of these teams could be thinking and aspiring to Champions League football. And good on them. Arsenal, stay that bit further ahead, which is good. Big up, Suge. Good to see you. I think it's a good wake-up call that we are not go. You know what you mean by that, sorry. Imran says we'll drop more points, so rivals. This is the game. Agreed. Okay, you know what I'm going to do, people? Because you know what? I'm happy to go another 15 minutes. If you want me to end the stream, I can. But if you want to do a little bit of a Q&A or something, if you want to just sort of send in some questions and things for what's left of this season, let me know. And we, just send in some questions and we can chat for a little bit longer. How are you all feeling? As much as I've kind of given you my thoughts, and I don't sound as dejected as probably many others are, what's all your kind of reaction to, this performance and the drop points and the manner in which we've dropped the points? Let me know in the comment section below. I did title this stream "What We Learned from Sunderland Draw." And actually, let's try and answer that while we get your questions in. What I think we learn is that the Premier League, now that it's moved towards this more physical style of play with set pieces, strong, fast, fit players, I do think we're in a situation where Arsenal and the top side, City and Liverpool included, will, could almost execute a near perfect game plan and still be at the mercy of some poor results. I think when teams play on the floor, when teams get the ball at their feet and they try and break you down, and that's their intention to try and play football with you, I think the better sides benefit from that because they go, well, that's our plan here. We do it better than you. City, Arsenal, and Liverpool. I know people joke about Arsenal, but our plan A is not to just win corners and score from set pieces. Our plan A is still to move the ball on the ground. We scored goals from open play today. They were very, very good goals. We pressed hard up the pitch. We had moments in that zone 14 area. We did things that you probably won't get the credit they deserve because we dropped points. But, only not long ago, it was, Arsenal only scored from set pieces, right? Our plan A is to play that kind of football. But the fact that other teams play more direct and are more physical, you're thrown off balance. Your structure is a little bit messier. So Arsenal, City, and Liverpool, I think, and other sides will struggle against teams that are direct, that are trying to, just cause more chaos. I think that's why the game's moved in that direction, because you're a little bit more unpredictable. The game becomes a little bit more chaotic, and you're sort of relying on physicality to kind of get you through. And if you feel you've got that edge on the opposition, then you're thinking something might happen for you. Yeah, how did I get onto that point? Why was I talking about that? Can't remember. Anyway, it's fine. Yeah. I think there'll be drop points for us, City and Liverpool, plenty of times throughout the season. City win or Liverpool win or draw? I would rather a draw, otherwise a Liverpool win. Yeah, that's the best outcome for me. What are your predictions for Spurs at home and Chelsea away? I actually think we'll win both. I do. I think Chelsea don't play that really physical, direct game plan that has caused us problems from Sunderland, and I think from Palace to a degree too. That's not to say, by the way, that's no slight on Sunderland and Palace. They can play very good football. When I say direct, is they get it from back to front quickly, whether it's on the floor, from set pieces, or going long. They do just make you suffer quite quickly. I think Arsenal struggle with that a little bit. Chelsea don't. They are more patient, more pragmatic. And Spurs at home, I will always back us in a North London derby at home, even when Spurs were very good under Pochettino and had Son and Kane and all these players. I still felt like we should be winning the North London derby at home. I just always felt that way. So I'm going to predict us to win both. But Chelsea will be a tricky place, and there's Bayern in the middle of that. So yeah, it's going to be a fascinating 3 games for Arsenal. I'm slowly getting over this result. Yeah. It takes some, internalizing. It takes some, yeah. Sometimes you just need. It's because it's a last minute equalizer. It just hurts the most. We'll be 7 points clear after tomorrow. I think 6 if it's a draw at the Etihad. You got to remember, people, also look at it as a body of work. We went into the last international break a point ahead of second place. We're going into this minimum 4 points ahead of second. For a for a month's work, it's really not bad. 2 goals conceded in, what was it, 6 games, 7 games into the Carabao Cup quarters, 4 wins out of 4 in the Champions League. Plenty of positives for me. Plenty of positives. For me, Spurs, Chelsea, Villa, and Bayern just became big games. They are anyway. Who do you prefer to be title challengers for us? I genuinely think there's nothing between City and Liverpool. I think they're both good enough to win the title. I think Erling Haaland just makes me lean towards City being the team I fear slightly more. But I think Liverpool have a better team. And if they click and get the balance right, then I think they're the better side than City. And probably have more goals as a collective, as a team, though they won't have anyone scoring goals like Haaland, though Salah was last year. That answers it. Do you think this will affect us mentally going forward, James? Well, I'll put it this way. If it does, then we're not worthy of the title. Because loads of teams... Let me show you something. Bear with me. Bear with me 2 seconds. All right. Do you remember this? Look at that. This is a Merseyside derby, 12th of February. Arsenal were not out the title race. We were still in a position to challenge and to push. They had turned around from 1-0 down. They'd gone 1-1, 2-1 up. Was there really red cards in the 120th minute, man? And James Tarkowski in the 98th just launches one into the roof of the net for Everton. The place goes off. And I thought, that could be the moment that really knocks Liverpool. That could be the moment that really knocks them. And ultimately, they just bounced back from that. They showed the resilience to go again. Let me see if I can show you something else. Liverpool results. I'm trying to find their results from last season. Bear with me. Sure, I can find them. Bear with me. Oh, you can all see this, lol. 24, 25. Okay. So if we go back, because Arne Slot said that they had some tricky moments last season. Right. So last season, Liverpool we beat Man United and they conceded this to Newcastle. Fabian Schär, 3-3. They then draw 2-2 with Fulham at home. They then, what a result that was. Put some good wins together. They then go and draw with Manchester United at home, having again turned it around from 1-0 down, gone 2-1 up, and then conceded to Ahmad from a 2-1 lead. Very similar to what we've done here. They then draw at Forest. Chris Wood scoring. Rest in peace, Diogo Jota got the equaliser for them. It then took 2 very late goals from Nunes to go 2-0 up. And then I think at that point, they'd figured it out. No, there's the Everton result that we mentioned, the 2-2. Right. Then they beat Wolves 2-1. Then they draw again 2-2 with Villa. That's the 19th of Feb. All of this led to Arsenal being in a position where if they'd beaten West Ham, they'd have closed the gap to 5 points with Liverpool travelling to City. We didn't. We lost at home to West Ham, and then they kind of got it together. So I'm counting in the space of 2 months. This is Liverpool last season. I'm counting in the space of 2 months. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm counting 6 pretty disappointing moments and results in a crucial part of the season for Liverpool. And we never capitalised. That's our fault. But they responded. Mentally, they overcame that every time. I would maybe respond with a win, or would dig deep and find a way. That's what champions do. If you want to be champions, you overcome these moments. You're not flustered by the fact that you conceded a late equaliser. We didn't lose. We put a point on the board. We didn't lose. So we need to realise that there are so many ups and downs when you're going for a title. And Liverpool last season, who walked it, and I say that, like this, but I believe they walked it too. But that is what everyone says, that Liverpool walked it last year. Liverpool still had an array of pretty, I'd say, concerning results. If it was Arsenal putting that up last season, we'd have had some concerns. But they kept bouncing back, and showing mentality and resilience. And that is a part of winning the league too. You're going to have these results. So how do you overcome them? Don't just sort of wallow and wilt and go, oh, well. I think it's really important that we learn from that and we just kind of go, okay. So to answer your question, Do I think this will affect us mentally going forward? It absolutely should not. If anything, I want the players to be really encouraged, having been pretty messed about in that first half. They weren't really getting near Sunderland. They were actually able to come through that, play a really good second half, and you know what? Things happen and we concede the equaliser. But we created chances and we're thoroughly deserving of a point and maybe a win. Okay. We really need our bench back. I agree. Is it popping up on screen? The comments? Here we go. ECE not feeling too bad, to be honest. We weren't great, but Sunderland were fantastic. We can't win and keep a clean sheet every game. Pick up a point and move on. Not great, not terrible. Agree. Question: how do you think Liverpool City would have done at the Stadium Light today? I think they'd have dropped points too. I think Liverpool would have. I think City might have won because when you think of the chances we had and how open the game was at times, I actually think Haaland would have punished them. I think City would have been more equipped. So I think City would have found a way. I think Liverpool would have drawn, if I'm honest. But that's just styles makes fights. I think in other games, Liverpool have the ingredients where City don't. What else have we got? Yeah, I agree with barely having attacking options at the moment with the injuries we've had. Trossard's second half was his best 45 for many months. I thought he was great against Burnley and against Palace, to be fair, but he's getting better and better. Yeah, what we've learned is that we will drop points. Yeah, so on the theme, I haven't really answered that title too much in this stream, but to actually answer it a little bit more directly, what have we learned? Yes, you're going to drop points if you want to win the title. Yes, other teams like Liverpool, I've just mentioned, have had those moments. And all those teams, sorry, all those players that we love, sometimes they might have a bad day at the same time. We haven't really spoken about a Gabriel being an 8 where a Saliba was a 5. We tend to talk about them lifting each other. Sometimes, though, there's going to need to be a game where the attack's not firing and one or two lift the others. Trossard did that today, but defensively weren't all that, and there was errors across the side. What we've learned is that Sunderland are tough, that the Premier League and the oppositions are direct. When they're direct, it causes chaos, and actually structure, physicality, all that can go out the window a little bit with a good set piece. We've learned that Arsenal can fight back and show character, but anything can happen in these kind of games, and we need to respond. I think that's pretty much it, people. Suj says, my concern is I can see more results like this for us. Both Liverpool and City will improve. We haven't shown the ability to get over the line yet. Sure, but Suj, I mean, what? Liverpool and City have had these results all season, so why would they not have more? We say that they'll improve. Why will we not improve? Because we just played a really good second half, I felt. Without Madueke, Jesus, Kai Havertz, Victor Gyökeres, and Gabriel Martinelli and Martin Odegaard. So, yeah. Why can we not improve? 100% feels like a loss. Yeah. Yeah, I get that. But, but that's, we need to learn in football that you can't win every game. And if you don't, try and take the positives from that, try learn and find out why you didn't win and keep it going. Not knocking the clean sheets, credit to our defense, but I'm still not 100% confident based on previous seasons. I'm still not blindly believing. That's fair enough. Don't ever blindly believe. Believe because of what you're seeing on the pitch. All right, everyone. I think we're going to round it off there. We've done an hour. Let me just do some quick housekeeping on the Goonerverse. Firstly, please subscribe if you haven't yet. We're trying to level up. Look, we've even got a scoreboard. Hey, look, there's a scoreboard. I'm like so far behind other YouTubers sometimes, but there we go. We're trying to level up production, running this on the regular set. We're trying to also bring regular content times you can expect it. So next week, I think, is going to be a little bit more random because it's the international break. But from the week after that, we're going to be dropping analysis pieces on a Monday and the Goonerverse podcast on a Friday. And we will be here the evening of Arsenal games to go through, the results, the player ratings, and discuss it all in good detail. So yeah, please subscribe to the Goonerverse. Go check out Goonerverse News. We're looking to up production on that as well and do even more content there. So yeah, if you've enjoyed everything or you're enjoying everything you're seeing from the two channels, please do subscribe, hit the like button, and keep up with everything we're doing here on the Goonerverse. All right. It's a good old stream that. I think we've got our teeth stuck into everything we possibly can. I'm going to love you and leave you all. We'll be back with another stream like this in a couple of weeks, but there'll be plenty of content coming out on the Goonerverse and Goonerverse News. So look out for that. Many thanks.